everybody. This is another fun-filled, expeditious episode of Radiorama, where, as the name entails, I show you how to work on radios and televisions and stereos and anything else that runs on glowing vacuum tubes. And today we have a model unknown Philco, probably a Transitone. The label's ripped off of it, but I guarantee anything. It's probably got like 5 tubes in it. That's all that's left of the label. It's aggravating. Probably if I wasn't being so lazy, I'd easily be able to look up the model, but that's not how I operate, to my own detriment. I'll find out sooner or later. There's always one of you guys who ingeniously tells me which model it is, and I don't have any idea how you remember the model numbers, but kudos to you. I'm starting backwards on this because I was working on another project, which is this large Motorola console, and I thought, you know, as big of a pain as it is to mount this up, and also these pads don't exactly last forever. Since it's soaked with wax, I might as well save my hands and start with the case first. I might be sorry about that. Maybe the innards are fried or something. But it's going to save my hands, so I'm going to start by using a mechanical buffer to polish a table radio, which I don't think I've ever done before. Holy crap, I think I made a discovery that I should have made years ago. Look at that. I did that in about maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes with an orbital buffer. It's like I can see myself in the radio just about. That's probably better than it looked from the factory. But anyway, that's pure bakelite, my friends. Anyway, I'll have to make a note of that. That's going to save my hands, and also it gets better results. Interesting. I'll start on the electronics mañana. Spin cycle is going on over there at my washing machine, so now I'm going to actually try to see if this guy works. Don't do this, by the way. This is the worst thing you can do to a radio that's not been tested. Alright, so we get a little bit of flash going on there. So clearly we probably have filament. It's hard to tell. I'm very, very ready to turn it off if I hear something bad happening here. That's all I need to hear. So basically the filter caps are just about shot. Radio works, but I'm not going to power it up anymore because if those guys short out totally, that could damage some stuff on the set. We're off to a good start. We know we have a working radio. It just has some sick components that need to be replaced. And thank you, washing machine, for just now deciding to shut down. All right, welcome back. I didn't really get anything done on this radio yesterday. My brother came over. Did get a new Metcal tip. These are not that cheap. These cost about $25 each, but they last me about 4 or 5 months. And they're made in America, so maybe that's why they're more expensive. But it's time to take the chassis out of the radio and take a look and see if it's what I think it is, which I would believe is probably all original. Turns out, from some of the Facebook people that saw this, the radio is from 1949. Makes sense. Looks about like that correct vintage. So let's peek under the hood and see what's going on. Alright, well, here's the back removed. It's very clean. I did remove the annoying antenna. I hated this thing that Philco did. They would have this wire wrapped antenna that they'd glue to the inside of the case, and it always comes loose. It's actually a 6-tube set, so it's a little more sensitive. And it's interesting because we have a mix of Philco's dreaded Loctal tubes and then some miniatures. We have 2 miniatures and 3 Loctals. We have a decently beefy tuning condenser, so it should be a relatively good performing unit. It looks like it is held in the case with these 2 screws. I'm 99% positive it is not a true hot chassis set. Yeah, there we go. Model 4994. I can't read it. Part number. I guess part being the case, plastic case. All right, so let me take the guts out and we'll flip it over and see what's going on underneath. All right, well, it has been worked on. Obviously, the factory wouldn't have done something jerry-rigged like this. I've got an old Cornell three values, 40, 30, and 20 microfarads. Yeah, I just put 47s in there for all three. It doesn't matter. This is the common ground here. This has been replaced. This is one of those lovely... Oh, shit. That came loose. Not very good craftsmanship. It's amazing what I find on these things. It is a floating chassis set, and this cap right here is going the chassis ground. So that's what we'll need to importantly replace with the oh-so-famous X2, Y2 across-the-line rated capacitor, safety capacitor, which will save us from doom as far as if you put a regular capacitor in there and that shorts, which they can, then it fuses and you got a true hot chassis versus a safety cap, which will split open, hence killing the circuit without causing any harm. So I'm going to replace this guy first because it's just wiggly, just sitting there by a string. And then I've got a great plan actually. So you've got these three wires here and they're quite long. I could put all three of my common negatives for the electrolytics here and then wire them with the elongated wires here. What a lovely idea. Hopefully it'll work. Alright, so I snipped that guy out of there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist the negative ends of these three electrolytic capacitors together, mount their common negatives here, then individually run these wires to their positives. Simple as apple pie. Alrighty, so we got all three of these electrolytic capacitors replaced, and we tidied everything up. Likewise, I replaced the 2-ground chassis ground cap, the safety cap. And we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more caps to go. Philco sure loved using lots and lots of capacitors in their radios. I don't know, they were pretty good sets for the day. And what do we have here? 0.01, you can see they're written on the sides. 0.01 rated at 400 working volts, 01, 05, that's probably an 05. What is this? 05, a whole bunch of 05s in there, and then 1/10 of a microfarad there. This is usually the not so fun part of the process, but this is what most of us radio guys do. We just spend endless hours on Friday nights and other times that other people would be doing other things, like watching television, replacing capacitors. Alright, so I replaced all the caps. In fact, I did this in like 15 minutes. I don't think I've done anything that fast before. And for a stupid reason, really. It's because I'm such a cheapskate. These new tips, when they're brand new, they just instantly melt stuff. And so it's a lot quicker to come in and make really good solid joints without having to wait for the wand to sit there and heat it for forever and ever. Lesson learned? Probably not. Like I said, I'm a cheapskate. But I shotgunned this thing. It's because it seems so straightforward, but now it's trying to test it out to see if it actually works. Hopefully it does. If it doesn't, then I'm going to feel really bad. All right, here goes nothing. Sometimes I have a difficult time connecting these antennas, so it might not work. Or work well, if that antenna is not connected right. But anyway, we're off for the races. I'm prepared to unplug it in case something catastrophic goes wrong, which I don't think it will. Alright, I've got a bad antenna connection here. Let me temporarily solder in, then we'll try it out again. Alright, let's try it again. Freaking annoying. Alright, there we go. Shouldn't take as long this time to warm up since the tubes are still probably a little bit warm. But we'll see what happens.
There were 3 games below 500. Took a little finals ticket. then we wrote that all. This is what the place.
Boy, it sure seems like it's out of alignment. How do you adjust these guys? It's like full of dust. Anyway, I need to adjust the trimmers here. Not the trimmers, but the IF and RF transformers. So I've just discovered something I've never seen before. Someone filled these up, like they filled the screws area up with glue. Why? Oh, that's so aggravating. I'm not sure what to do about that. That means replacing... I don't want to replace those. Ugh. I think what I'm going to do also is clean the Loctal sockets. They're notorious for getting dirty. See if that makes any improvement in the performance. The problem is in the loop antenna. There's an intermittent short in there. I don't know where that could be. There's several breaks in here. This might call for actually getting one of my spare loop antennas out of my storage, because this guy, I don't want to fiddle with it. They're real fragile. Okay, it was the antenna, and we've also got some dirty tubes. For example, observe. Well, I was on a station just for a second. Alright, gotta clean all those sockets. I hate Loctal tubes. I'm not sure about the rest of you guys, but Philco did some annoying things, and that's probably the most annoying thing they did, was that tube style. Interesting. So I've lost filament. All I did is I cleaned the tube sockets and put the tubes back in, and now we got nothing. So I'm suspecting maybe one of the filaments was on its way out, and when I yanked it out of the socket, that was it. So need to drag out the old tube tester and see what's going on here. Well, I have lost B+. I have incoming power but no B+, so that means it's time to download the schematic and find out what has failed here. I suspect it could be one of the resistors here. I found that some of these weird sandy looking resistors aren't very good. And I know there's usually a sacrificial resistor that's in the filament chain, and if that goes open, it's usually like a 1/4 watt deal, then everything else will fail down the line. But it's getting kind of late and I'm hungry for dinner, so I think this can wait. At least we got off to a semi-decent start. Kind of sucks that it doesn't work, but we'll figure it out later. Alright, well, here is a very much delayed update about what's going on here. I took it in the museum yesterday because I figured maybe someone else could help me figure it out. And what it was really stupid. One of the pins in the, I think it was the 14, what was it? 14 AF7. One of the pins there was just not making good contacts. We cleaned it up a little bit. That returned the filament string. But then I had a really bad reception problem. And I checked everything and I could not figure out what the hell was going on. And by the way, these guys you adjust from underneath. I guess it's pretty early for that style of transformer. Usually I'm used to adjusting those up on top. But this wire here and this wire here had intermittent shorting. And so I was able to get the set to work again. And it works quite well. The problem I'm running into now is that it's not passing our safety test. And I'm trying to figure out why. Because usually what happens in these guys is the grids of the tubes will go to chassis ground, and that sometimes can trip things up a little bit. So I've disconnected all of the grids. The set still works, but it's still failing. The only thing I'm trying to figure out here, we've got this is one end of the AC, and this goes from here to chassis ground, but then we've got another connection here. We've got a 150,000 ohm resistor that's also going to chassis. So that might mess up our safety. I don't know. I'm actually texting with somebody right now. Let's see what they say. All right, I am picking up again on this radio. It's been at least a month or more since I worked on it. I had a strange problem that I couldn't figure out. And so I took it into the museum to have another tech kind of help me scratch my head a little bit about it. And what we figured out was that the rectifier tube was internally shorting, even though it didn't show as shorting on the tester. So we have a new rectifier in there, and that solved the problem. So now I need to add my audio input feature, which I always show in all of my sets. And it's pretty simple. There's not a whole lot to write home about. All we're going to do is run, excuse me, we're going to run a line in to the volume pot. And we're going to go through a isolation transformer first before we do that. That's both for electrical safety and also for audio enhancement. I'll explain later. But first thing to do is clip all of these grid grounds from these guys, since they were contributing to the set's failure electrically. But it works well on the radio now, and so now it's safer, and so now I can finish this up hopefully this evening. Okay, so here is the system for installing audio. We have our isolation transformer here, and the secondary side, our incoming audio line comes in, and the primary goes to either side of the volume pot. The top of the volume pot is where the IF signal comes in, so all we are doing is making a little temporary switch between this connection to the IF transformer to the top of the volume pot. Uh-oh, the thing is telling me the battery's about to go dead. Anyway, let me charge the Bluetooth thing back up. But we have the switch wire coming out now, so what we'll do is put a little micro switch in here coming out the back, and that'll restore radio. All right, well, she's finally done. That is my local gal, Dolly Parton. She grew up, probably 45 minutes from where I was born and raised. And she does an awful lot for that community and for a lot of other people. So happy birthday. She's 77. Anyhow, I got this thing done. If you're wondering what happened to the original knobs, yes, I lost them because this has been in my garage for about 2 months, and of course everything disappears. So I found these two knobs. They look presentable. I'm going to go over to the museum later and see if I can find something that's closer, but these will work for now if nothing else works. Got the back on, and I got my switch here in the back so that I can turn the radio signal back on.
Let's talk about the clippers first. Clippers are...
Come on, like he's gearing up to a flooring sale. You don't have a smartphone, do you?
I don't, but I always carry 3x5 cards and a number 2 pencil in my pocket protector.
Oh, Mr. Brown.
Enjoy new floor...
Oh, Mr. Brown. Anyway, this radio is done. I'm going to let it sit here and play for a while to make sure that if there's heat or anything else that builds up inside of the chassis and it can cause something to fail due to the heat, then I'll know about it probably within a few hours. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, you can ask them below, and I'll try to get to them. In the meantime, till the next time radio comes across my workbench, I'll see you guys later. Adios.